I was born in prison. She didn't want to give me away. I was 8 years of age and I'm high as a kite. She came back with crack cocaine and just went, try this. He grabbed me, pulled me into the bedroom. He did things what you shouldn't do to a child. And I went home and my mum and dad was speaking to him like he was a whole family friend. I was just stood there in shock. When I was stealing, I didn't have no remorse and no regrets. It was quite heartwarming knowing that all these police was looking for me. You know, at least somebody wanted me. And I found a baby dead in a cot, and the baby was blue. Knowing that I was born in prison, it used to make me think this is where I'm gonna die.
How do you think your life would have turned around if they hadn't taken you from her?
My name is Marvin Hitchman and I'm here to tell you about my extraordinary life I've led. Started from being born in prison to being here now with you today. My story began with my mum, who was Greek Cypriot, and she was from London. She lived in a huge house with a big family, quite religious, and there was a black family who I believe lived on the same road. And she fell for one of their sons. And when she was pregnant with me, my mum was told off her father that if she went home with a baby, and she wasn't married and stuff, he'd kill her and the baby. She was already on drugs, and my dad was on drugs also. They was like taking heroin and stuff like that from very young. When she was pregnant, she was sent to a prison in Cheshire. She was put on a mother and baby unit. I was born from there. From day one, she didn't want to give me away. She was being told by probation that if she signed the baby away, the baby would have a better life. But she was very immature. She was asking questions of them like, can I send the baby gifts? Can I send the baby birthday cards? Can I send the baby, things at Christmas? So when she eventually signed me away, I was, I believe, a 15-month-old baby. I was adopted into a family with a Jamaican man, a Welsh woman, and a young girl who was 5 years older than me. But what I can remember from my mum is I can remember the last time I was in her arms. For some reason, that has latched onto my heart. I can feel the energy from when she actually had to give me away for the last time. So the Jamaican man and the Welsh woman who adopted me, the Jamaican man was quite an angry man. He raised me as best he could, but he had a limited capacity, mental capacity. I was a distressed baby, so I used to hold the pillow and bang my head off the pillow. And I'd do that till I fell asleep. And I think the banging my head might have been an anger thing, me missing my mum. So it's more, I'm missing my mum, where's my mum, banging my head type thing. That was very traumatic times, it was very hard. Yeah, it still is hard to talk about. Well, I fell asleep. I would have this reoccurring dream that I was mopping the floor with my mum. But I wasn't, I was weeing the bed. But my daddy didn't know how to handle it. He'd come in beat me with his belt or a bamboo cane. And I can remember a couple of times him doing it and my mum screaming, don't hit him round the head. That stuck with me when she said to him, don't hit him round the head. I thought she should have said, don't hit him at all. I used to run away from home a lot when I was younger, but I didn't know where I was running to. I'd just run. And I can remember once the police car stopping me on the way home with my friend, and they drove us home. And when I got home, all the avenue was out looking. And that was the first time I thought anyone really cared about me, really, because I'd seen people out in the street all, oh, where's he been? And here he is, so. that was quite heartwarming, yeah. So both my parents was criminals when I was born. So I believed when I was growing up that it ran through my blood. When I heard the whispers that I was born in prison when I was very young, by that time I was stealing from shops. I used to wonder, is that what I'm going to become? There was a lot of empty houses on my estate, lots of boarded up properties, and we used to go in them. And I was 8 years of age and I'm in and out of the empty houses like I normally was. And I've gone up the stairs into an empty house and there was a pot of glue and I opened it and as I sniffed this glue, it took me to this place what was just colourful, vibrant, warm, just a beautiful place, like where I felt I should have been born. It was very hallucinogenic and I'm high as a kite. So everything would be beautiful and rosy and fluffy and colourful and the noises would sound good, but I used to get this reoccurring song in my head and it was like a nursery rhyme, and I used to hear it every time I was high off the gas and I'd literally think it was a connection to my mum, and I always chased it for that reason. When I got to 11 and we moved house, in the new estate, there's 4 big blocks of flats what tower over this estate, shadow it. And there was a lad who lived in the flats and he was much older than me, he was over 16. And I had the games console. And he said to me, oh, I've got games for that. So he took me to the other block of flats and I opened the door and there was a man in his 50s stood at the door. And he grabbed me, pulled me into the bedroom, and he proceeded to rip my clothes off and rape me. I didn't know what to do, I was just shocked. I literally was shocked. I froze, I got my clothes, I got dressed and just ran out the house. I went to school the next day and I assumed that everybody knew what had happened to me. Anyone who's abused will understand what I mean. You're so afraid to tell anybody because you think everybody's going to talk about it in an instant. So you keep it a secret. But the thing is, you're keeping a secret what you shouldn't keep. Straight away, you should tell an adult. My biggest mistake was not telling an adult. But I didn't have any adults at the time who I could trust. So I kept it to myself. And when I came home from school, his van is parked outside my mum and dad's house. So I'm horrified and I'm thinking, what's happened here? And I walk in and he's literally said, oh, here he is. And my mum sat there and he went, oh, thank you. I was just telling your mum what a good lad you are, helping my mum yesterday with shopping. And my mum and dad was speaking to him like he was a whole family friend. And I'm just stood there horrified thinking, he was a monster. And he's like, are you going to come round again to help my mum? Before you know it, he's coming round saying, oh, he's just going to help me with the deliveries. I'm just going to take him out in the van. And he'd take me back to his room and he would just have his wicked way with me, which was very, very, it was horrendous, to be honest. I was living an horrendous existence. And I had nobody to turn to and nobody to trust. I think when this happened, it was the summer of my first year. So I was 11. I really couldn't concentrate and I really couldn't relax and I really couldn't sit still. And, you know, I was committing crimes, petty thefts, to try and comfort myself. He was giving me money as well, like as like a keep me quiet type thing. So he's giving me a few coins, £3 or £4, and I'm thinking I can't tell anyone because he's giving me money type thing. So it was just a really, I was stuck in a situation what only people who have abused it will know that it's very, very difficult to get out of. And I didn't tell anyone for many, many years. I was nearly 14 by the time I put a stop to it. I was too big and I was too strong, and I'd realised that he was doing wrong to me. I'd been avoiding him, I'd just not going to his flat. I'd seen other children in his van, so I knew he was doing it to other kids. So I wasn't the only one he had by then. So I could avoid him a bit more then. And then suddenly he just died, and it left me so frustrated and so angry, and I was so regretful that I'd let him do that to me for so long. So at 13, 14, I was taking LSD and amphetamine. The dance club had opened on our housing estate, and I used to go there. My mum had let me sneak out and go, but little did she know that I was taking a lot of drugs and getting very high and selling drugs as well. I'm dancing away and I see this girl and she's dancing away too, and she looked familiar to me, and I get speaking to her, and she said, "Do you want to come back to mine? We'll carry on chilling and that." So I'll go back to hers, and she's got the music on and stuff, and she's gone, "You ever tried cocaine?" And I'd never really tried it before, but I kind of gone, "Oh, I've just tried it in a joint before," something like that. And she went away and came back with what I now know to be crack cocaine on a pipe, and just put it to me and just went, "Try this." I just sucked on this pipe for as long as I could, and when I inhaled it and blew it out, I knew straight away that I was going to be addicted. I started with petty theft and quickly progressed to quite serious crime, which was drug dealing. Straight away, I started going to all the drug sellers who I knew and borrowing drugs off them and selling it for crack. And in the end, I ended up robbing off a gang who was selling heroin on the estate. I went in there, took all the drugs off them, took the money off them. When I was stealing, I didn't have no remorse and no regrets, because I didn't feel that the world had done me any favours. I felt like I was very alone and very alienated in this world. I wasn't wanted by this earth. I wasn't a normal human member of society. I mean, I was being abused. I was an orphan. I wasn't wanted. My parents had given me away. My dad was extremely strict. He wasn't nice to me. You know, I had nobody, no adults who I thought I could turn to or trust or speak to about things, what I was going through in my life. So I just felt like very, very rebellious and like an outlaw. When I was wanted for something, the police would come looking for me. That was quite heartwarming, because I was getting attention finally from somebody. You know, at least it was these people looking for me who give me time, even though it was a bad time, even though I was being arrested. It was quite heartwarming knowing that all these police was looking for me. You know, at least somebody wanted me, even though I was wanted in the wrong way. I went to prison. Knowing that I was born in prison, it used to make me think, this is where I'm gonna die. Prison saved me on a number of occasions, because I was, by this time, hanging around in a gang-infested area where there was gun crime, extremely high rate of gun crime, people being shot more or less on a daily basis, people being killed by the tens every year. So prison saved my life on a number of occasions. You're away from the gangs, you're away from the risks of being shot or stabbed or beaten. I went in and out of prison maybe 20 to 30 times. I know it's an extraordinary amount of times, but literally I was going to prison for 3 months for theft, and for another 6 months on 4 months. I was getting very, very small sentences. My crimes was only thefts, like breaking into cars or stealing out of shops. You know, I wouldn't do anything more than petty thefts for my addiction. In prison, the temptation to use the drug of choice wasn't there. So you would be able to build up that strength to get clean. But the day you get released and you're at that gate, all that strength what you built up, all that strength I built up to get clean went out the window. And literally, as soon as they give you money in your hand, you're looking at it thinking how much drugs it can get you. And that's what I used to do with my discharge money. I'd buy drugs with my discharge money. By the dinner time, I'd be sat in a crack house smoking crack. When I was using the drugs, the crack and the drugs, I was getting bored of it and I was not happy using it anymore. It becomes a chore, getting the money, getting the drugs, phoning the dealer, hanging around the street. It becomes a chore and you quickly get bored. You don't enjoy the lifestyle. If you could change it tomorrow, you would. It's just that you're gripped in that addiction. The drugs are very, very addictive. And it's the first thing you think about in the morning. It's like having a toothache, all right? It's like having toothache. The first thing you think about is the drugs. I went to prison for another sentence again. And I phoned my adoptive mum from prison. And she said to me, I've got some bad news. I've got cancer. And a couple of weeks later, sadly, she passed away. And I went to my mother's funeral from prison in handcuffs in front of all this extended family and friends. And I'm having to say goodbye to my mum. But at the same time, I was thinking about drugs because my sister had a big parcel of cannabis for me. So I literally went to my mum's funeral and smuggled drugs back from my mum's funeral through my sister. That's just a drug addicted mind. And then the strength came to stop drugs when a number of things happened. My adoptive mum had said to me, you're a lost little boy. You need to go and find who your birth family are. So when she passed away is when I officially opened my adoption file while I was in prison. I didn't want to go and look for her while my adoptive mum was alive, just out of respect for my mum for some reason. And I was on drugs. I didn't feel worthy to look for my mum while I was a drug addict. When I finally got the strength to stop using crack and got clean, went to the adoption agency and told them I was clean and that now. And they said to me, right, you're ready to officially open your adoption file. I thought, now it's the time I'm going to find my mum finally. So I went away so happy. And we went into the office and the agency lady didn't have a smile this time. And she went, right, yeah, Lee, I'm so sorry, I've got to give you this. And I opened it, slid it back, and it was my mum's death certificate. My mum was dead. That was a huge shock to me. I didn't expect my mum to be dead. I always felt I had this bond and this tie with her. Like there's a thing, an invisible cord, what we've called an etheric cord, and you bind it to people forever. And I always thought that I could feel that bond. But she was gone. It turns out that she overdosed on paracetamol. I went away and they said to me that they can find some of my birth family, but because it's not my mum, they're going to have to send all my previous convictions to them to see if they want to get to know me or not. They read my previous convictions and one of them contacted me, one of my birth family. So I was over the moon with that and it was a very, very good time. So when I met my aunties for the first time, it was like a breath of fresh air. They held on to me and it just felt like I'd been missing all these years. My two aunts brought with him this man, and this man went to my partner and told told her that he was my dad. And I was speaking to him for the first time, and his phone went, and he done like a drug deal on the phone for Valium. So I thought to myself, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But I just was angry at him more than anything, that he'd abandoned me, because I asked him what happened, and he said, oh, it was wrong you getting taken. Your mum was out of order signing you away. I didn't want to sign you away. That I was gutted that you were signed away. And then he said, but it was a good thing that you were signed away anyway, because if you would have come to London, you would have been dead. So I was like, what do you mean? He went, well, we was in an house taking drugs one day, and I found a baby dead in a cot, and the baby was blue, and this is the thing he did with his hands, like this. He went, the baby was blue and not breathing, and the baby was dead, and that would have been you. That's what he said to me and my partner. And wow, that was mind-blowing, because what he didn't tell me was it was my brother. Yeah, it was my brother. So he found my brother dead of a cot death. You know, all the windows were probably sealed up, and he was all taking heroin. Who knows what that baby died of, but it was my brother.
How do you think your life would have turned around if they hadn't taken you from her and if you had stayed with her in prison?
Wow. How would my life have changed if I didn't be with my mum? To be honest, I probably would have been worse by the sounds of things. But I always think that just being with my mum, I think, would have been nice, being with my biological mum. The kisses, the cuddles, the love, the emotion, just what everyone else gets in it is the mum. Yeah. Oh God, that was hard, wasn't it? Oh. It's you women, you get me all the time.
You actually got me.
You get me, you women, you do. Okay. Oh wow, that was heavy, that. Sorry, go on, Peter.
No, I'm sorry if I brought the emotions out.
It's good. No, it's good. It's good, it's healthy, isn't it? It was very, very hard to break the cycle, but I broke the cycle because they never stopped. My mum and dad never stopped. So my dad was always an addict all his life. So yeah, I broke the cycle. My son's not going to be an addict. I'm going to make sure of that. Yeah, I'd never go back to a life of crime and drugs now. Now I'm clean. It feels like a new life. It's like living again, being off drugs, not having that addiction, not waking up every day needing that drug to survive or to manage. I've learned how to forgive people and be the best version of myself I can. I'm not cruel, I don't hit people, I'm never violent to anybody. I treat people with love and respect now. Yeah.